drop it on my desk then. Let's call this meeting to order at 7 PM. Welcome, everybody. All right, we've got some consent agenda items, minutes from the June 16th school board meeting, general fund vouchers and purchasing card transactions. You want me to read the voucher numbers and everything? Is that right?
I did.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So the general fund vouchers and purchasing card transactions is the request for approval of general fund vouchers 184075 through 184328 and 293358 through 293412, and purchasing card transactions dated May 21 of 25 through 6/20 of 25. Also part of the consent agenda is certified staffing recommendations. Some co-curricular staffing recommendations. All right, so I would request an action on all of those items.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
All right, Huey,
I can second.
Chapman. All in favor?
Can
Aye.
I share a few things?
Yes, that's right, you did say that you wanted to.
I did,
chat.
that's okay.
Okay.
So one of the things the board has said is that, routinely you approve these expenditures, and that we'd like to provide just more information, summaries, a little information both for you and for the public, because it is a lot of information that you receive on expenditures, and it's hard to make sense of it. So most often we have a common set of information that is provided, and that includes, the vouchers, the accounts payable on different expenditures and revenues. And so I wanted to just summarize a little bit of some of the things that you'll see on this one. So in terms of account payable vouchers, we're crossing into 2 fiscal years because our fiscal year ends on June 30th. It's a relatively light purchasing period for the district. You do have some year-end expenses such as transportation. We did have a large purchase as part of our cycle of replacing technology, which we plan out well in advance. We had 800 Chromebooks that were purchased as part of that. We also had our first half of insurance payments that were processed, and then our annual renewals for some of our software that kind of run behind the scenes at Infinite Campus and Skyward. In terms of payroll, this was a very large expenditure, as it is at the end of a fiscal year. The reason is that teachers can choose to receive multiple payments at the end of June to cover through their July and August till they get their first paycheck in 2025 and 26. And so that's a pretty significant project, so thanks to Corey Sealing in payroll for her work on that. You also have what we call BMO transactions, and that's our credit card. So we're allowed to use a credit card system instead of a purchase order system that used to be used, and it's really efficient. And one of the things it does is it provides a rebate for us, which was $27,000. You'll see that there. Also, you'll see on those transactions purchasing some computers for an upgrade project in our tech ed computer lab. And then lastly, receipts. A lot of receipts turned in this time of year at the end of the fiscal year. So, and then you have all these revenues that come in, at the end of the year. And so that's when we finally get. So open enrollment, you just have to count the kids all through the year that are open enrolled and how many days they attend and all that. And that's when we get our reimbursement for students that are open enrolled. And that includes the students from the virtual school that are open enrolled. And then we'll pass that information, or that money onto WEVA. So, just about $51 million. So a little bit of money with $45 million going onto the virtual school for that. And then we get our tax payments and general claim revenues. So wanted to share that. That's probably more detail than we probably will typically share, but want to provide that information to you. It's a busy, unique time of year for accounts
So
payable.
will this be done just this one time a year? Or typically, are you gonna start doing this more often?
I'll do that anytime that you
Okay.
have those on your consent agenda.
Okay.
But what I will say is that some of the things that were included tonight are a bit unique for this time of year.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they won't be shared, but yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I liked it. I
Yeah,
thought
it's
it was
really
very nice.
helpful.
Yeah, this
You
is
read
great.
through all of it and you're like, but what does this mean? So
Right.
it's helpful.
Right.
So thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
this was you and, I think Chapman, right? And some people in the business office have been working on this, and this is great. It's just kind of a one-pager that you bring the key takeaways. So thank you all for creating it.
You know, we'll try to get it to you as soon as we can. It's just kind of wait till the last minute so that when you approve them, they're the most recent things, so.
That's great. So I think just to close the loop on it, sorry, I skipped over that. But, so I took the vote for all in favor, and just so we're on the same page. Any opposed? Okay, so consent agenda passes. Okay, so let's move on. I think then we've got any public comments, Angie?
No, we're not with you, Jen.
Okay. All right, so then we've got our informational items, starting with CISA 2 delegate convention update from, yes, Meredith.
But I do have an update.
Awesome.
Were we gonna do the crime statistics?
No, that got,
No, that's coming.
It's coming.
It is coming.
It's not an action item. It's
Yeah.
an
No, I understand
informational
that, it's
item, yeah.
informational.
technically it was agenda.
What's that?
It's informational item 5A.
Oh, my bad. I
Oh,
was
it
looking
is?
at the
I
other
think,
one.
yeah, we might have two
It's at the
different.
end, though.
Oh, we might have swapped them around.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one.
Well,
You
I'm
two
looking
want to
at the
duke
one
it
on-
out? You want to do,
No, I'm
No.
not duking. Anything out tonight.
all right.
I decline.
Then we should follow the agenda. Erin, would you like
Yes.
to start with the 2024-25 new crime statistics report?
I would love to start with that. So, Wisconsin, Act 12 created a reporting requirement related to public high schools in the state of Wisconsin. And so, what it requires is that we report to both you and then to the Department of Public Instruction certain types of crimes that have occurred on school property or at school events, regardless of who committed them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it may or may not be our students, it could be an adult. It is just information that they want to collect about criminal activity at school in certain categories. And so, this is our first year doing this, so you can expect this to happen annually. So we looked back at the data, working with local authorities, things we've been notified throughout the year, as well as a year-end report that Officer Seatsma was able to obtain. The categories that we report on are homicide, sexual assault, burglary, robbery, theft, battery, substantial battery or aggravated battery, arson, use or possession, of alcohol, controlled substance, or controlled substance analog, possession of a firearm in violation of statute, and then the violation of a municipal ordinance related to disorderly conduct. So you can see those included in your report. I anticipate, just kind of looking forward, that the report that you have in your packet is similar to what we'll typically receive. For example, you see 5 violations of municipal ordinance related to disorderly conduct. That will typically be our highest one, as it was this past year.
And then,
Is this all public information?
It's public record because we're sharing it with you, but we don't send it out
Right, okay.
to the public and, not that they couldn't request it and get it, of course. But it's not something that you're required to send out to the public.
I just have one question about the sexual assault. Aren't there various degrees of that?
Mhm.
Do we know anything about that other than just,
Mhm.
and that's not reported? It don't need to report it, or,
No, we don't have to report
okay,
any of the details. It's just a number. They're just tracking
Okay.
the number.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and of course I can't.
Obviously, I know that.
Share
Obviously, you're not gonna talk
any
any about
other
the details. I
information.
just was wondering if the public was like this.
How
Right.
did these numbers compare to years past?
I don't know.
And
Okay.
this is for-
Just to be honest,
Okay, okay.
I anticipated someone might ask me that question. Because we've never done this report before, we haven't gone back to look, I think.
Okay, just curious about trends or whatnot, but
I-
not a big deal.
I think
Yeah.
if there were
Spikes.
alarming things in there,
Right.
that might be something that you'd discuss, but
Yeah.
typically it's just how many incidents.
Yeah, I don't,
Well, and like you said, they may
Have
or
a
may not
sense.
involve students or staff
Right.
Yeah,
even,
correct.
so.
One incident be a part of multiple ones, like, or is it each year budget?
That's a good
There
Yes.
was a verb.
Sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean,
Meetings are gonna be record short, I'll tell you
I
that.
understand your question. So I'll give you an example. Two kids get into a conflict that's two separate citations. So it's a matter of, like there's a thing in exchange and they both get cited for disorderly conduct. Okay?
Yeah.
That counts in your 5.
that would be 2 of my.
That would be 2 of your 5. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Tricks.
You're fine. You got my question.
Yep.
So then, I feel like this is probably obvious, especially given the great reporting that comes out of your office, but in future years, we'll probably have comparative numbers, like we'll present prior year, and, okay.
Yeah,
So
then I
then
can
we'll at
answer
least
there we go.
Megan's
be able to
thoughtful
identify trends
I'm a
going
big Law
forward.
and Order fan, what can I say? The TV show, not
Yep.
actual.
And Law and Order. You're in
And
favor of Law and
yeah,
Order.
Yes.
Thank you for the report.
Yes, that's good.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Any other discussion on that item? Okay, then let's go on to 5B, the CISA 2 delegate convention update. Apologies for mixing all that up.
So I wrote down what I want to say so that I stay on point and on task. So I'm sorry if this sounds rehearsed. It's not rehearsed, it's just written down. So I guess kind of rehearsed, but, so in Whitewater on June 17th, I attended the CISA 2 2025 Delegate Convention. And for those of you that don't know or don't remember, CISA stands for Cooperative Education Service Agency, a lot of words. And our participation in CISA helps our district with shared cost-saving opportunities, like vendor partnerships, professional development, on-demand support, and also supports statewide collaboration between districts that are in your CISA. We are in CISA 2 of 12, and one of 74 districts in our region. Districts are then subdivided into clusters, and we're in cluster C, along with DeForest, Madison, and Monona Grove. So I got the opportunity to meet board members from Madison and Monona Grove. And a large, huge thank you to past board member Tom Mooney for serving as Cluster C's representative to the Board of Controls for the past 2 years. So CISA 2 also has a board, and he sat on that board. Usually it's a 3-year term. During the evening, Trish Kilpin, the Executive Director of the Office of School Safety with the Wisconsin Department of Justice, presented our keynote. It was a great opportunity for me to hear and understand all the resources, the majority of which are free, which is outstanding, that the office provides to districts. Part of their office success was the statewide implementation for which our district participates, and Speak Up, Speak Out. We use this for See Something, Say Something, which is directly linked in access on our website, just a little plug. And there's also the 24/7 monitored phone line. Since the inception of SUSO in 2020, the entire state has had 18,000 reports, give or take, most of which are bullying related, which I thought was interesting. These reports are vital because the data shows that 82% of school shootings beforehand. So we reviewed the pathway to violence model, that kind of offenders don't ever snap, they make an active decision. And really reinforced our district's commitment to violence prevention in all of our school safety planning. So, a little bit of a side note, on our district's financial responsibility, is we do, use the department's, free e-learning on the foundations of targeted violence prevention, which we all completed as school board members prior to, starting our, positions. And one interesting thing, in case you have questions, there's been a big increase in online sextortion cases, which I thought was interesting, so, maybe just a call out of, watching our kiddos and social media. It has some pretty large lasting effects. Additionally, there's a state statute that requires our district to annually submit our safety plan, which we do. What's key in that is when we talk about prevention, there's no single one thing, that will fix or solve school safety, which is understandable, which is why our school safety plan is very comprehensive, using prevention training, to really guide human judgment and assistance. And part of our safety plan is also a process for reunification. So Mr. T and Officer Zietsma's video, about what that process is key. And I think is currently available on our district website, or will be shortly. And I guess a call for action, if you will, because I figure with everything we learn, we need to do something with it, is that Office of School Safety depends on, of course, state funds and federal grants. And this funding is due to expire at the end of September. So a request, again, from my side of the room, is please reach out to your state legislators. We use their services and need them to continue to invest in our district. And for example, if we don't continue to have access to the free services that they provide, our speak up, speak out, or see something, say something, would cost the district approximately $10,000 annually. So they help us save money, so asking your state legislator to support that office is important. So lots of interesting information that I took away, especially as a first-time board member, that I thought was very pertinent. And they only meet once a year unless you're on the Board of Controls that meets monthly. So probably no more additional update from that until next year. But they have a great website, which includes a lot of resources and professional development stuff. So, yeah, there's my update.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah, that
very
was,
much.
that was great.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Thank you.
I will add, if I may. Yes. But just because an update, since with the biennial budget,
Yes.
the Office of School Safety is funded for 2 more years.
Oh, wonderful.
They are just looking for permanent funding, so they don't have to continue to do that. And I think they added the funding that was provided in the state budget, I think added 13 more positions. That's what's on the top of my head, so.
Okay.
Statewide.
Wow.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And wasn't there a proposal at one time that they go by the OSS, right? Office of
Mhm.
Schools, that their funding was tied to like gun sales or something?
I don't know,
I think there
Oh,
was,
geez.
yeah.
maybe.
Like that some of that
Some of that
revenue would be
gets
used to help keep things
percentage.
safe.
Yeah, like a portion, right?
Yeah, so that's, I don't know. I don't know
I
if
have
it,
not heard that, but
I feel like they would have said that if that had gone
Yes.
through successfully, so, interesting. Okay, that was a great update. Thank you, Meredith.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
And I do have the presentation if
Well done.
someone, thank you, if someone, gets bored. I have it.
Okay.
Can share it.
Awesome. All right. Next on the agenda, School District Village Board Joint Planning Committee update. I believe that's,
Yeah, I can mention
oh,
something about
thank you,
that.
Bruce.
So I might ask you guys to
Yeah.
chirp in if you'd like. It was basically, the big thing we talked about, seemed to me, was the impact of the state budget on the village and on the district. And I know, again, Aaron, you talked about it, you had the handout, and I assume that's,
Yeah, I'll
Again,
be
what
sharing
this is.
that a little bit in more
So-
detail during my report
Yeah,
tonight.
I mean, because both the village and the district are, in a sense, kind of under the gun by relying so heavily on property taxes. And then the village, there was an update on goal setting and capital improvement. And really, the last thing that we covered were the topics of mutual interest and any updates on what we're already working together. And again, I would, kind of like Meredith, just encourage the public. You know, it's really great that the village and the district actually tries to work, you know, jointly together to try to share services. And so again, if people have suggestions or whatever, you should contact us and we can bring them up. So our next meeting is September 9th at 4 p.m. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything.
No, it was a lot of going through budgets, so.
Right.
Yeah, it's
We don't
very
want to steal your
detailed.
thunder.
No, don't steal my thunder. Please don't. Yeah, a lot of detail too. It was interesting to learn about how the biennial budget impacts the village as well, because I'm very focused on the school board, of course, so it was very interesting to hear that and the different grant opportunities and things that they have access to as a result of what's approved.
I guess one thing I would add is, Matt, our village administrator, really, he said he went to the state to give testimony, I think, at one point, about, training and recruitment and retention for EMT personnel. I think that included maybe some fire and safety. It's just interesting, it's nice to know that we're advocating for what we need in our village for that perspective too, so. Yeah,
It's true.
we ended that meeting on time.
It's true, you don't really, the funding model is similar, but not exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how, in the long run, like, municipalities are having to go to referendum
Yeah.
because of it, you know, and that's just a lot to put on the taxpayers.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because we can contact our local legislator, and it probably isn't gonna make a whole lot of difference. It's the, you know, the more rural, in certain parts of the state that, you know, they're controlling the legislature, and there's not a whole lot we can do. But there are other formulas that we could be using as a state to fund both schools and they wanna just have the people complain about their property taxes and the referenda that are kind of taken care of, yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, and we sit on a 1 point, how much trillion? A billion, sorry, $1 billion.
4.6.
Is it still at 4?
Last I heard.
They never even brought that down, okay. Wow,
Last I heard.
gosh.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for that.
Get out and vote.
Yep. And contact other legislators, like not just ours.
Yeah.
That's the other
Right.
thing that we're starting to learn does have an impact.
And when you go to different, like the Joint Finance Committee or different group bodies, committees, you can see who the membership is online, and that directly links you out to their email and contact information. So it's really easy to contact those that are not your personal representatives either.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right, so we're up for discussion items. The first one that we have is the school board member public events calendar. I know that Aaron sent out kind of the draft of events that he and I put together for ideas of us to be making sure we're out in the community and available if people want to connect. You want to go over it?
I could tell you that two of the best nights to come in and meet people are the photo days.
Yes.
I mean, you find yourself the right spot, and virtually every parent in the district comes by.
It's true. You're right.
Now, those are important.
Yeah, I think the purpose of it, as we've discussed previously, is for the board to continue to be visible, engage with the public, provide frequent times to do that, both for parents and guardians, staff, and then also for community members that do not have kids in the district. And so this was just this list was just a brainstorm. The idea being that these are opportunities and then some that the board may want to create to be present, to provide drop-in type things for people to come and participate, with the level of involvement varying based on the activity. It could be as informal as, I've got my name tag on and I'm walking around and saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a school board member, just reaching out if you have any questions or things you want me to know, kind of thing, versus this is a designated office hours time, for people to stop by. So I put this on the agenda for a discussion, just to say, what are your thoughts? What do you think would be helpful, more helpful? This is all just a draft.
I think it looks great.
Are you able to pull it up, or do we want to pull it up? If we
I
don't
can.
have.
It was in your, the minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can pull it up and show it to people.
Yeah, I was telling Aaron as I walked in tonight, I'm really kind of disappointed because of all things, our neighborhood, and I want to give a shout out to a couple of people who organize this thing, but we put on, or they put on, a little kind of neighborhood get-together, and they do it 4 times a year. Art and Cindy Weber were in charge of it. And, I just thought to myself, unfortunately, this is a pretty bad alibi, which I used to love my alibi list with my kids. But to be honest with you, I spent so much time preparing for tonight. And I was working for the food pantry this morning that I just never even went over there. And I felt bad because as I was driving over, I stopped and said, thanks for doing this. But it'd be nice if we could get that, because it's the neighborhood idea and having contact with people. And I
4
just
times
regret
is
not
a
going there.
lot.
It is.
Oh,
It's
like
amazing.
that-
That means one's
Big
in the
chore.
middle of the winter.
Yeah,
And they can,
wow.
yeah.
That's a
Kinda
great
cool.
idea, though.
It is a great idea.
So you're saying kind of trying to connect with neighborhoods to get those events
Yeah,
in?
just talk to them and, I think they know I'm on the school board and
That's a good
ask
idea.
questions, so.
Yep.
Yeah, so the idea was to have some office hours, at least, quarterly, that are more open, and then also to attend certain events. So we tried to go through this list and just put down some times. And then what we're hoping to do is that, board members will indicate, yep, I can go to that, I'll be there, and this will be our role. So for example, Megan Fesser was able to attend part of
Do
the
you want to do
bands
that now?
by the boardwalk, and,
I think if
Yeah.
they're, we can, yeah.
I can't commit to stuff right now because,
It's out quite a ways, some of it.
it's out, some of it's out quite
Yeah,
a
yeah.
ways, and just my works, but like, I know I will most likely be at the Bill Garvey golf outing, but I will be there with my job. So
Can't
I can't
represent-
really
Yep,
double
there.
dip,
right.
yeah,
Yep, that's
because
understandable.
I'll be giving out Bloody Marys,
I'll be
probably, at 9 o'clock in the morning.
You'll be there?
Yeah.
Craig?
I'll be there too.
Okay.
I know golf, I know nothing about golf, I will not be.
Just because I'm playing doesn't mean I know
Arguably, that
about
might
it.
make you a better representative, because you
I
won't
will
be
say,
distracted
like,
by the game.
it's a fun time.
There's gambling, little gambling tables and lots of stuff for people to do other than golf.
Yeah,
I might be able to
Lots
stop
of
by in
food.
the afternoon.
Yeah.
That would work.
I think it only goes till like
Usually are out of there about 3.
yeah,
Okay,
It starts at 9.
yeah.
okay.
The other idea is that we could, because we have an August work session, is that right?
yes.
So we could have a goal to kind of identify ones that we, as individuals,
Sure.
would be able to attend, and then we can update it then too.
That'd be great.
And some of the ones, when is our work session? It is,
I feel like it's the 11th, but I can. look.
Yes.
Oh, that was good.
That's our
guess,
retreat,
yeah.
Yeah.
the 11th.
11th of August.
okay. So really, if we identified,
Mhm.
just, obviously, the Bill
That's the
Garvey
one
one.
before there,
We
yeah.
already did, yeah. So, is anyone gonna be at Bands by the Boardwalk?
Yep, what?
At Bands by the Boardwalk on August 14th?
Yep,
You think you, okay.
I will.
Okay, and then the rest we can do, I will be at the new staff orientation, I believe.
Yeah, I think a lot of us will be at things like that.
So just to be explicit about it, you know, we want the school board role, like for all of us individually, to be sustainable, you know, for anyone who wants to join. So that's why I think the level of involvement here is really helpful, because it doesn't have to be a big deal. Like, I think the ones that are really important to really be available more formally is the office hours. And then the rest of these, I think, are really good opportunities. And maybe to have one person, but I think we can discuss that at the work session, kind of what our expectations are and our goals for how much we're involved, or how much, you know, we're showing up at things.
And that way we can also look at all of our calendars.
Yes, yeah. So maybe if we can come prepared to the work session with our calendars. And if you want to, go ahead and fill some of this stuff out ahead of time.
Is that linked, if that's in our, the one in our email?
That's in the McFarland minutes.
It's 9 minutes.
Yes,
Yep.
and.
I just want to say that, you know, I just do an awful lot of walking around the village, and I see folks. I belong to our church. I go to almost every service when I'm here. I work at the food pantry. In some ways, whether you know it or not, we wear multiple hats all the time. And I do worry a little bit about just like, I kind of felt like there was a lot of, yeah, everyone should sign up for this thing, and I found out it was the same people who were doing it all. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. To me, it's like, you've got to pace yourself in life. You pick and choose. There's things that are going to be more, I guess, optimal in getting some results than just kind of walking around, no offense, with just a name tag and say, hi, I'm on the school board. Is there anything you're thinking about? I think, again, I had a real opportunity this afternoon or evening to engage people and say, you know, we got a board meeting tonight, and we could just talk about how's it going and things like that. And I think in some ways it's more direct and more, again, I don't know, realistic than, so I feel like sometimes the other is kind of artificial. You're looking for someone to say something. So that's just my kind of opinion on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say I see it as not an either or, you know, as kind of a both, you know. But I think it's important. I appreciate your acknowledgement that you do need to pace yourself.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. And then obviously, if there's anything else
This was a great list,
to
by
add to the
way.
list, yeah.
This is a really good starting place.
I mean, that was really mostly Aaron. He keeps saying we, but we really only came up with the high-level stuff.
Well, and it'll get added to as time goes on.
So, okay, wonderful. That brings us to the district administrator's report.
Yes, so I'm gonna share a little bit, kind of a budget update for you, similar to what was shared at the joint, village school board meeting. And, some other relevant updates. So this is the same information that I shared, I just made it look better because it was bothering me. So,
Looks really good, Erin.
It really does.
Thanks.
we're trying to make the, budget information as digestible as we can. So I'm just gonna talk to you, first of all, based on where we're at right now, and it could change, we're projecting that for the 2025-26 school year, that our budget will be balanced, which to the public out there may seem like, well, yeah. No, we were coming into the year, we had planned for a budget deficit. The last estimate had that at about $390,000. And that was part of our referendum planning because, a reminder, the amount that was approved in November was less than we had asked in April, which was what we needed. So We knew we were running a budget deficit, and we're going to tap into district reserves called a fund balance in order to pay for that. And it appears that we may not need to do so, and that's really because of, it has nothing to do with the state budget, to be frank. It's really based on some of our reduction in expenses and increased revenues. So in terms of expenses, our health insurance provider, we're changing our health insurance plan, as you know, and that was much less than we expected. So we came in at the right time, negotiated a good deal that still provides quality care for our staff. We also recently, unfortunately, had the vacancy of our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging coordinator position, and we chose to pause rehiring that position at this time. Well, that's not something we would want to do. That's a position we want to keep and had planned on continuing to keep. Anytime a position becomes vacant, we have to consider that. And the further you are removed from direct contact with students, the more likely you are to not be filled. And so that could be reconsidered in the future. We've done some other budget adjustments, and there's some things like reducing extended contracts, like the summer contracts, you remember that you approved those, or some of our contracts with third parties, like our social media service, we're now doing in-house versus contracting out for that, for some savings. And a lot of this was really good because we were able to finalize a wage plan for this current year that makes us a little more competitive with our neighbors. So that was good. We also had some nice revenues. The two biggies that are just really hard to predict is the Wisconsin Virtual Academy's enrollment. They continue to increase. That provides additional revenue to us for our oversight fees. So that was great. And our interest, you never know what the interest is going to do. So if we keep that fund balance high, that provides additional interest earnings. Of course, we'll also see sort of a revenue is that the governor had approved a $325 per student increase in the state budget, and I'll talk about the funding for that in a little bit, but that does provide additional revenue to the district that comes through our taxpayers. And of course, you have the revenue cap increase as a result of the operational referendum. So that helped us have what we're thinking is going to be a balanced budget, but the other part of that is, so what does that mean for our tax levy? So we're looking at 2 years ago, we predicted what our tax levy we thought it would be, and it's very, very close. So in the referendum communication information we shared out, we said we think it'll be about here. And for what was a $400,000 home in 2023, our estimates are extremely close, just $43 different from what we predicted. So that is great, and that's a tribute to Jeff Mahoney's work. And so one note with that levy is that will be set. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it does not include the school tax levy credit because you can't predict that. That money goes to municipalities and then is reallocated to districts, and you really can't estimate what that'll be. But on your tax bill, it is a separate item, so it's important to note that yes, you're paying this in taxes, but you also, what the state has been doing is increasing the state tax levy credit instead of giving schools more spendable dollars.
And I think in spite of the number of times that we've communicated that yes, we passed a referendum, but this by no means makes us flush financially. And we continue, to get emails from community members saying, hey, we just passed this huge referendum. Why aren't we spending it on this or on this or on that? I think I shouldn't say most, but I think there's a fair percentage of folks that think the referendum that we passed solved all of our woes. and it simply didn't. It just put us in a position to have a few things happen so that maybe we can get a balanced budget. I think that's phenomenal.
It is.
Phenomenal news.
Yeah, it's
Hard
true.
work.
Yeah, that's a good point to remind people.
So there's a few things coming up that will change. A reminder that the state funding formula hasn't changed for a very long time, and it is your revenue cap minus your state aid equals your taxes. So what you'll find is that revenue cap really depends on the number of students and the revenue limit adjustments, which are approved as part of the biennial budget. And the state aid is also impacted by our number of students, our equalized value, and our expenditures from previous years compared to our other districts. And so we'll have an enrollment count coming up on the third Friday in September. We will, I should be scrolling, sorry. We will have the Department of Revenue, we get equalized values, those come in October, equalized aid comes in October, and then our annual meeting, of course, is also in October on the 20th to approve the budget and the tax levy. Keep in mind, that is for the 2025-26 school year, so we're already well into the school year by the time these things get settled out.
I mean,
Then
we're
I just
already into
wanted
that
to,
budget year,
yeah,
so, right? I
Yep.
mean, so that's,
it's interesting.
it's even extra backwards.
Yes, and so talk a little bit about the state biennial budget and how that impacted us. So you saw a slight increase in special education aid, but it's nowhere near enough. So it was about 30% for this past year. And that is just the state reimbursing districts for the amount of money spent on special education. When it's less than 100%, that means you're taking money from your general aid and moving it to your special education aid. The state superintendent had requested increasing that to 90%, and the governor had requested increasing that to 60%, as was a common thing that was shared at all the listening sessions. That 60% would have meant nearly $2 million for our school district, and that means a lot of districts, most school districts, are not going to referendum for operating expenses. Unfortunately, that was not approved. There was some progress to 42% and 45%. It'll be a little bit less than that, because a reminder, that is not a some sufficient amount. It's a some certain amount. Some certain meaning it's a certain dollar amount, regardless of how much it actually costs. The actual cost will most likely be more than that. So that means that 42% comes more like 40%, a couple percentages lower typically. So that could mean about $200,000 more for our district is what we're estimating next year. So that's good news, it's progress, it's better than nothing, but not enough. High-cost special education aid is also planned to be increased from the 26% that it was this past year up to 50% and 90%, which sounds great. That sounds really great. It's a very small percentage of students, and there's a lot of factors that go into calculating that. Of course, you don't know how many students you'll have that meet the qualifications for that high-cost reimbursement. It also is money that's distributed across all the districts that apply. You never know how many are going to apply. So it's hard to predict that. Still better than nothing, but it's misleading, and I believe can be kind of confusing to say, like, look at all of this, all the way up to 90%. It's less than 1% of the student body. Moving on to general aid, the general aid was not increased. So where you have that revenue limit of $325 per student, that increased per the governor's previous veto, that is not funded by the state. So instead of using the budget surplus, the state is saying that will now fall on local taxpayers to pay for the $325 revenue limit increase. So that's where those funds will come from. Certainly, increasing the revenue limit is important. It's still not keeping up with inflation, just to keep in mind. And we're way below where we should be in terms of, based on all those years of not keeping up with inflation, over $3,000 per student less. So 325, progress, but not
10%.
closing that back. Yep. The good news is that when we did our tax estimates as part of the referendum, we anticipated this may happen. So that $325 per student was built into the tax estimates. So when it said, here's what we're projecting for your tax bill in future years, it didn't account for that. So that doesn't change things. It only would have made things better if the state would have chosen to use general aid funding for that. Open enrollment transfer amount increased. But still, it's going to be a relatively small revenue stream for our district. It's more for us than many. And the reason is basically what happens is when a student open enrolls, their resident district keeps a small portion of that money, and then the majority of the funds, they go on to the district where they're going. Well, they increased even more of that money is actually going to be sent to the district where they're going. Well, that benefits district like ours. We have more people that come here, choose to come to our district that don't live here, than those that leave. So that helps us with what we call our brick and mortars. So people that attend a physical building in McFarland, it really benefits us and the Wisconsin Virtual Academies for open enrollment. All of their students are open enrolled. So that is a significant amount of money. So for our brick and mortar, we're estimating about $144,000 increased revenue. And for the virtual academies, about $194,000. And we'll just see, it's all dependent upon final enrollment on that third Friday, who actually does attend, that has planned to open enroll. But that could be very beneficial for us. And again, this is above and beyond what I shared about having a balanced budget.
Does that open enrollment window close?
Yes, but there's an alternative open enrollment that you
Okay.
can do at any time.
Good.
So certain,
All right.
certain qualifications. And then, just a note, that the state has chosen to continue to increase, the funding for charter and choice schools. So the state is continuing to fund 2 education systems, both a public and a private one. So those amounts increased as well. So that's a little update on the state budgets. So, the summary is, does it help? Yep. It's better than what we had last year, but it still is not enough for districts to be able to continue without going to operational referendum. So, other
I'd like to make a comment,
thoughts,
just,
comments?
I can almost hear people saying, well, they told us it was gonna be tough, but see, they were able to find some money, and now we've balanced the budget. And a lot of that cost savings came from changing our health care provider. I remember as a teacher, that happened to me near the end of my teaching career, and after having had a doctor for umpteen years, and our family physician and everything else, all of a sudden my wife, that all changed. That is very hard. And the fact that our teachers have been very supportive, I mean, I think the public needs to realize, they understand, we're all in this together. But it's not like, oh, and next year, what are you gonna find for us? These are difficult, there's a price to pay there. And I'm so pleased that there was as much support from our staff as there was, because I remember being really upset about that.
A lot of young families, changing doctors is difficult,
Yeah,
really difficult.
yes, and if you have a specialist or something like this. So I just want the public to realize, we knew that this was gonna be tough going, and we've we've been able to, again, I really compliment you, Aaron, and our administration in general, just on getting everyone on board. But this is not like, that's not the way you run an organization by, what are we gonna find out? And, like our equity, inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, okay, that person resigned that position. So, we just found some money here. As you've pointed out very, I think thoughtfully, the more people we have in contact with kids, the better it is for kids. And to remove that position just means that's just one less voice that kids, or a person that a kid can identify with. And it just bothers me that, again, there's kind of a sense like, they'll find the money, you wait. It's difficult.
That's more typical than atypical.
Yes, it is.
In virtually every conversation that I hear that I'm not involved in, we're flush.
And we're lucky. We're lucky. I mean, having our relationship with the Wisconsin Virtual Academy
Yep.
and the foresight that we had way back in the early 2000s to say, let's take part of this thing, because we're able to get some of our revenue from that. And we've done an awful lot of things. I know that our salaries for our administrators, our salaries for our teachers, they are not anywhere near the top in Dane County. And yet our school just keeps on cranking out great scores, and we do really well. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we benefited from the open enrollment. But anyway, that's just a kind of an editorial on my part.
Numbers, I think it's a good point, because it's all of the decisions that you bring to us and that we have to make are all really hard. Everything we do for our kids is a priority, and all of us are being put in positions of having to choose what those priorities are when they're all priorities, and that's just a really big challenge. So for example, with the DIB coordinator position, like that's more work for other administrators to take on, while also understanding it's a priority for each and every one of us sitting on this board, that it's hard. That's a really hard decision, because it's something that's necessary and something we need. So when the community says, we're not being fiscally responsible, that's a really good example of us being fiscally responsible, and making that hard decision when what that work does in that position is a priority. And we still believe in, every learner every day. So these are just hard choices that we have to make. Thank you for putting this together in such an easily consumable format. And I know it will be available on our website. So please, community, take a peek at it and take a look at it. And if you don't understand the words, ask. I may not have the answer, but I could sure help try and find it. Because I think it's really important to understand that with our state funding, we're not taking care of our students. And that's no fault of the people in this room and of the administration. So take the time to review the information. I'll leave it at. I can keep pontificating, but we don't have time for that.
Is there benefit in sending this out with an update to families?
Yeah, but the plan is to send something out more so early August, when, people are starting to get back into the swing of things, and to see if there's any changes between now and then, so. Wanted to have you take a look at it first. I also have not shared this with Mr. Mahoney, so I'd like to get his eyes on it.
Maybe.
Or,
It might be a good idea.
I do so. I took the information that we had put together and put it into this new format, so
No, this is great.
I'm hoping that it's
Much appreciated.
Yeah,
consumable.
Yes, thank you.
it's digestible and compares a lot to what we did for the referendum, so hopefully people remember those numbers and
I'm hoping so.
compare. Yeah,
Well, thank you for everyone who's worked on the referendum too, like being able to foresee that revenue cap increase and estimate that out, so that it's not this like giant surprise for folks. I think also demonstrates how well the board and the administration and Jeff, you guys really do great work of being honest and clear, because it all hits our pocketbooks, so.
Historically, Jeff, this comes as no surprise. Because Jeff, every year in and year out, is very, very close to what the final numbers are, and he predicts them back in May and June. So yeah, Jeff, along with his team and the whole administrative, the whole A council is,
Well, and if there's one last thing that I can reiterate, I do want to point out just how much our legislators fought
Yeah.
for public education funding. This is something very near and dear to me, and the amount of hours that went in to try to get the Joint Finance Committee to support public education financing, or funding, I should say. It was a lot. And so, for McFarland School District residents, please understand, our legislators are on our side.
it's hard to,
100%.
it's hard to fathom the work that they do, knowing full well that they've got about a
Snowball
5% chance.
No
of-
chance.
and basically not.
Yeah.
But yet they still go out there and they talk to their constituents and it is, I can't even imagine their frustration.
Yeah.
And there are more equitable ways, I'm convinced, to raise the revenue that's there. In 1912, our state was one of the first to say, look, farmers are getting killed by property taxes, and so we institute a progressive income tax. There are things that we can do, and it just seems like they just keep on turning a blind eye. Oh, no, we've been doing it this way for about 30 years, and this is working well. And it's like, oh my gosh. it's
Working well
time.
for who?
Yeah.
I think I just want to kind of reiterate what Meredith was sharing about the 325, and that we built that in. So just think about how this was done. So when people saw the options for a referendum, you know, and said, well, if I vote for this, then my taxes are going to increase by this amount. That included the 325 per student, which they didn't have any choice over. Okay, that was gonna happen either way. So what we could have done is made that number seem lower and said, oh, if you vote for the referendum, it's only gonna be this much increase. Because the truth is, it was a smaller increase that was associated with the referendum. But you were also gonna get the 325 on top of it, you know, and so we chose to put that in there knowing full well that part of it was gonna happen probably either way, depending upon the Supreme Court's
And in
decision,
defense
so.
of the 325 that Governor Evers put in there, number 4 here is charter/choice funding increased. And they keep on increasing that. And we're trying to fund 2 public school systems, in a sense, in our state. And it just
I'm old enough to remember Tommy Thompson, Republican governor, very Republican. And his stance was you cannot support 2 separate
you can't.
educational systems within the state. It is impossible, it can't be done. Yet,
Well, it can be
Yet
done
here
just
we are.
because at the
Yet here we are.
expense of, but you guys are gonna get sick of my estimates, or was it 82% of students, that's who's at the expense that
No,
is
it's
from. So
wonderful.
we can, because we are, but it is detrimental to the majority of our students in our state.
And our taxpayers.
It's true. And to your point, Megan, you're right. The people in the not represented by the majority, in like the people in
minority.
power, yeah, they clearly advocated really well for us because we got the slim pickings, right? We got
Yes.
a little bit. And we know where the Joint Finance Committee started with their recommendations, and it moved the needle, which means our advocacy also moved the needle. So they did something. They did.
Yep.
They were able to pull, I mean, that was, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yep. And it's a good reminder, all of this conversation, I think to sum it up, is every hard decision we have, like we were already operating in a situation where every decision means that we're not doing the best for learners.
exactly.
And that's regardless of whether we think it's the best decision or not, it is gonna negatively impact learners. We're still gonna be better at it than other districts, I'm just saying, but, you know. That's what people need to know. We are still operating with less than we need. And
And we are
every
not alone.
decision impacts
No.
students. And we are not alone, no. So,
Very true.
yeah.
I also wanted to provide a little update on where we're at with McFarland Primary School, that renaming process, and then a display to recognize the accomplishments of Conrad Albion. So in terms of the renaming process, we haven't spent any funds. Everything that we've done has been at no cost. And so a lot of that's just internal branding, documents, starting to use McFarland Primary School, changing on Google or DPI, and, you know, a lot of these logistical things with our vendors, and those things have been underway. We're in the process of forming a group to help spearhead the work for creating some sort of a display, identifying what would be created, where it would be, that recognizes Conrad Albion's accomplishments, acknowledges his role with restricted covenants as well. So that work is underway, and thanks to Bruce, who's very involved in that, as well as Megan Fessler for her leadership as we kind of continue down that path. So more information to come, including what that might look like, a proposal, looking at fundraising opportunities coming in the next few weeks. I do have recognition, a thank you to the Spartan Sharks, who made a donation to our Angie O'Donnell Aquatic Center so they can purchase a new refrigerator.
Yay.
So they made a nice contribution that will help with some of that cost. And then just sharing a little bit of some of the pictures of what's going on around the district for you.
Yeah, after some of that heavy state budget stuff, let's see some
Yeah,
good
right?
stuff. Yeah, these
So-
great kids that we're
So
talking
we
about.
incentivize kids to bring back their library books. After over 24,000 book checkouts at McFarland Primary School, only 8 were missing. That's pretty
Wow.
good.
What?
So
That's
thank you,
amazing.
families,
Oh.
for that. And so
Wow.
they got to have Mr. Nelson and Dr. Hauser on the roof, and some popsicles for on the reading patio. So
That's hilarious.
nice little incentive there. Summer school underway, so here you have our incoming 7th graders are doing some reading in their desk tents. So summer school provides the opportunity to do some of those
I got a
fun.
lot of that.
At that joint meeting, we got a nice
Things,
compliment
yeah.
from some of the board members
Yeah,
about summer school, and how they really appreciate what we're doing.
yeah. Getting crafty here with 2nd graders there. Then you've got, here we have practicing some math facts, number battle. Sounds aggressive, but so some good stuff there for our kids. And also took advantage of the fact that we have incoming 3rd graders there to just talk a little bit about what BC intermediate school. So you have Principal Mr. Shevchek and Associate Principal Mrs. Lackey that did that, took advantage of that opportunity, so a neat thing.
That's exciting.
There, at the end of the year, you had some 7th grade, or 6th grade, excuse me, classes celebrating their hard work, so they had some individual reading goals. You can see the literacy theme here, people. So that particular group read almost
Wow.
1,400 books
Wow.
this school year, so. I
That's
love
cool.
that they track that and celebrate that. Community Day, 7th grade Community Day, where they go out and do community service, some service projects there, some more pictures. You've seen some of those already.
I think that's Joey.
Continue, maybe so, maybe so.
Yeah, I think so.
Continuing
Usually I'm
that
not right.
theme. Juneteenth, we've talked about, but here's some pictures from that to see. So thanks to our student leaders of the Black Student Union for their leadership with this. It was a wonderful event. We also, here at the high school, spa is well way that's speed, power, and acceleration. So over 300 middle and high school students participating in that. So great activity. Heather Drake just graduated, but was also a high school global scholar. So that's a pretty rigorous, challenging thing to complete. And so thanks to Ms. Callan for her leadership in helping Heather, but Heather did the work. So pretty special kid, Heather Drake.
Heather put in a large number of native plants and prairie plantings on the community gardens property, which is just to the south of our church. And it's just an amazing. This year, it looks horrible, but from our experience, it takes 2 years, and all of a sudden, it just, boom,
Yeah.
those native plants take off. So she's an amazing young lady.
Yeah, gonna really make a difference in the world. And our own high school garden back here, it's just back here, if you ever wanna go check it out, it's starting to see some good
Wonderful stuff.
activity there. So thanks to our student leaders for being involved in that. Some pictures from Roger's retirement as a bus driver after 15 years, so nice celebration. The staff and students did a nice job taking some time to.
Often those relationships between bus drivers and their kids are
Yeah, very special,
really, really special.
very, very special. So that's the part of the slideshow. Coming up, we have a few things. July is Disability Pride Month, so that's really where we recognize that every person is wonderful and unique, and kindness and inclusivity are vital to ensuring true appreciation for Disability Pride Month. Summer school session, the second one is underway, finishes this week, and then we start Camp Kindergarten starting next week. We'll be back, August 2nd, we have the 12th Annual Bill Garvey Memorial Golf Outing that we talked about earlier that benefits the McFarland Education Foundation and our athletic program. We have the next school board meetings on the 4th and a work session on the 11th. Do the board members have anything they would like to share? Any recognitions? Okay, that concludes my report.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for all that. That's good. All right, I think we're ready to take some action on some things, huh? Yeah, okay, so the first thing we have is action on notice of academic standards for the 2025-26 school year. Pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 118.301GA and 120.1213, the school district of McFarland hereby gives notice that the Wisconsin academic standards are in effect for the 25-26 school year. I would look for some motions on that
I would
action.
move to approve the above action. The school district of McFarland hereby gives notice that the Wisconsin academic standards are in effect for the 25-26 school year.
And I can second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'd just say that that's an annual,
Yeah.
required by law, state
Right.
statute.
And we've been
Yep.
doing that for how long, Aaron? I mean,
Ever?
Yeah, I was gonna
Forever.
say, when I started here in 76, I think
Mhm.
we haven't changed.
Yep,
Just so the public knows.
yep. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, motion carries. All right, the last thing that we have to do is to go into closed session. We're gonna discuss some, let me just look at my notes here. Just discussing some legal counsel for our governmental body. They're rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted with respect to litigation, which it is or likely to become involved in. Considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems or investigation of charges against specific persons except where part of, if, what does that mean? Or par-
That's a tough one to read.
Okay, paragraph B applies, which if discussed in public would be likely to have substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. Basically, we're gonna talk about some student athletic eligibility issues. So, so we are required to do a roll call after we have a motion.
I will make the motion that we go into closed session.
Okay,
I can second.
all right, Chapman. So we will. All right, so we will go into closed session at 8:11 with a roll call vote. Fessler, yes. Howry,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yep.
Huey, Fisher.
Yes.
All right, so 8:11, we are in closed session, and we will adjourn from closed session, so the public part of the meeting is over.
Done.
All right.
Let's go.
Are we moving?
Are we moving? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for coming, Melanie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As always.